Are you overwhelmed by tons of email with important data in it that's difficult to keep track of, like sales reports or technical details or even website updates? What if I told you there's a way to turn that email chaos into a clear, real-time dashboard in just a few minutes using Monday.com? In this video, I'll show you exactly how to automate that process with Make.com and Monday so you can instantly see your most important data without the hassle. Hey, my name is Andy O'Neill, and I help entrepreneurs add automation to their business. Okay, so we're talking about taking structured data from your emails and turning it into a simple visual way to keep track of what's going on in your business. So I've been using Cloudways SafeUpdates to keep my sites up to date. They'll do this on a schedule. They'll send me an email notification telling me if the update is successful or if it's aborted. But the problem is they're sending me emails for every one of these, and I can't keep track of what sites are updated and what sites had issues. So here's an example email that I get. You can see this is from my website. The update was successful. It tells me what updates were done. Again, we're looking here at a way of taking email data and putting it into a dashboard. So if you're not using Cloudways, if you have something else, I hope you'll look at the principles of this video and adapt them for your needs. So let's go over and look at my Monday board where I keep track of all the sites and if they've been updated. So here's the Monday board. You can see the website name is over here in this column. I have an update. I actually have the emails that have been updated here. I can see the email data in the updates for the Monday item. Here's the status, either aborted or successful. Here's the update time, which is the time of the email that I received telling me if it's successful or not. And then here is a last updated column that just tells me when this was updated. So here is the Make scenario. If you're not familiar with Make, you can check out a link in the description to grab an account. It's an affiliate account and you'll get a month of the core plan for free from Make. So what we do here is I've got a trigger, and the trigger is a watch emails trigger. And what we're looking for is any emails from success@cloudways.com. And again, this is coming from all mail. I'm going to say mark the email messages as read when fetched, and I'm looking for 15 at a time. In reality, I was doing that for testing. I'm going to bump that up to like 40 at a time. So I'm going to hit OK here. And if you don't have an account, again, if you're new to Make, you'll have to click Add and connect your Gmail account. Just a note, I have a paid Google Suite account, and that connects a lot easier than a Gmail or a Google Mail account. Those are much more difficult to connect. So I'm going to hit OK here. And then I've got a filter here because some of the emails actually come from that email address, and they're not emails I want. So I'm going to say the subject, and I've just mapped the subject. This is the data we get from that first step. So we're going to map the subject in here, and we're going to say the subject contains safe update status : aborted, or the subject contains safe update status : successful. So that's going to limit our emails to just those two statuses. I'm going to click OK. Now we've got to do some splitting out of the email name, because if we go back here and look at my email subject line, we have some stuff in here we don't want. So we have this safe update status: successful or aborted, open parenthesis. I want to get rid of that. And then I also want to get rid of this here with the space, hyphen, space, date, time, and closing parenthesis. What I want to end up with is just the name of my website as it comes from Cloudways. So we're going to have to do this in a couple steps. So the first thing we're doing is we're going to use a switch. And a switch is a really cool tool with Make, where you can say if something is this, then change it to this. Otherwise, change it to this. So what we've done is we've said if the subject line contains the word successful, we want to do a substring. We want to shorten this by 32 characters on the beginning of the string. And what that means is if it's successful, that right there is 32 characters. Safe update status : successful, open parentheses. That's 32 characters. So we're going to get rid of that 32 characters, and what we're going to end up with is this right here. Now, if it's aborted, that's a different number of characters in the beginning, and so we've accounted for that. So we've said if it's successful, do a substring, which means we're going to take that subject and we're going to start at character 32 and we're going to keep everything to the end. We're using another function in here for length, and so that just says go to the end of the string. If this doesn't equal successful, it'll equal aborted. We're going to use the substring, and we're going to go 30 characters and then start from there. So we're going to get rid of the first 30 characters and keep the rest. So what that does is it gets our website name separated. Now I'm going to run this. I'm going to right click here, choose where to start, select the first email. And I'm going to go down a few here and hit OK. And then I'm going to run this. So I'm going to let this entire scenario run, and then we're going to be able to see the data that gets spit out for each of the steps here. So we can see in our filter here, our subject contained aborted. This is an OR, so this one worked and this one didn't, but that's okay. So all of these passed through our filter, and we'll go here and look at, here is the website name right there, and what we have is this date and time on the end that we're still going to get rid of. So this worked well because this one came through as aborted. This one came through as successful, and that worked as well right there. There's our website name. So we have the first part of that chopped off for successful or aborted. Now the next one here is going to be a switch, and we're going to just determine if this is aborted or successful for our status. So what we do is we put the subject line in here, and then we're going to say use regular expressions. And that means if the word successful appears anywhere in our subject, we want to output the word successful. Otherwise, we want to output aborted. We only have two choices here, so it's pretty easy to get the, the A or the B. So that is our status, the aborted or successful. And then we're going to go over here. So our website name continues to be cut off over here in this module. So this module is we're going to search Monday for our website name. And you can see over here is our website name, and we're going to search for that because if it exists, we want to update it. If it doesn't, we want to create a new line in our Monday board. So we're going to search the board for the site, and right here we're going to do another function. And so this is the substring function. And we're going to say, take the output, so take our website name that we partially cut here, and we're going to start at 0 because we want to start at the beginning and keep the beginning. And then we want to go the length minus 17 because all of that date information and the hyphen is 17 characters. So we've said, take the length. So we have a length function here. So what is the length of that? And then we're doing a minus 17 because the result for our substring is a number. So we're going to have our substring is going to start at character 0, and then it's going to end at however long this is minus 17. So that will clean up our name. And then I've placed a trim on the outside of that just in case there's a space that's missed. We don't want any white space or anything like that on the outside. It's going to be clean and have our title intact without any spaces outside. So that's how we're going to search. And then what's going to happen is when we find a line, we're going to have an ID right here. All right. So we're going to do this filter. We have a router, but we're going to label this create Monday item. And that means if the ID from the previous step does not exist, if we search and don't find a value or a record or an item in Monday, then we're going to create that item. So we're going to go right up here, and you'll notice I have the same functions here as I did down here in the search. That's just so that we're treating the data the same way. So we have our board selected and our group selected. Now right down here we go to safe update time, and we're mapping the date from our email. Right here's the date. Now I know it's a date because when I hover over this, you can see it says date in brackets, and raw it says date. So we know this is actually a date format. Sometimes dates will come through as text and we have to turn them back into a date format. So there is our date, and we've said include time, yes, because I want these to be fairly specific on when they're coming in. And then update status, we're going to say label, and then we're going to map our label, which is coming from our switch. So that one is done. And then I'm going to create an update. And what the update's going to do is going to connect that text record, so to speak, to the Monday item. So right over here, this item here, whenever this is updated, it's going to actually add the text of the email right here on the item. So there's a history. I can see if this keeps failing over and over again or what the most recent issue is. So we have the ID. We have to attach that to the item here that we created. You see it pulses. We drag this over here. When I hover over that, you can see it pulses, and that means that data item came from that item. That's our ID, and then our body is going to be the text content of our email. I tried this with the HTML, and it's prettier, but it is really messy. So I'm just using the text content. I'm going to click OK. Right down here, and you can see these passed. So there is an ID. The ID exists. We look at our filter, the ID exists, so we're going to update a Monday item. And then it goes down here and it just updates the ID of the item it found here. Now we don't need the name on this one because it's already been created. We have safe update time is date and update status is label. Just like that, just like we did here. And this one's going to look just like this, except our ID is coming from this number 9 module. So that's the setup. I'm going to save this. I'm going to run this again. I'm going to choose where to start, select the first email, and I'm going to roll back here a little bit and hit OK. Now what I want to do just for funsies is I want to turn these all back to the gray so we can see these update. And just if you didn't know what I just did there, I just skipped right over it. You can select all and then you can change one status and it will change them all of the ones that are selected. So super time saving thing there. All right, so we've got no status on these. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to say choose where to start. I'm going to say all emails. Okay, and I'm going to change this to 80 and I'm going to hit OK. Now, before we rerun this, I don't want you to bomb out of the video just yet. And the reason is don't forget to change your settings down here. This is by default going to run every 15 minutes and it's just going to keep check when you don't need to. I'm going to run this at regular intervals, but I'm going to say I'm going to start at 8 o'clock a.m. and I'm going to end at 5 o'clock p.m. generally is my start and end date, or start and end times. And I'm going to run this, it's 8 hours. I want to run this every, let me do 180 minutes. So that is 3 hours, so 8. So I need to run this, I'm going to run this at 6:45 to 5. So that'll run it every 3 hours, and then I'm going to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm not going to be checking this on the weekend. On Monday, if any of these run on Saturday or Sunday, it'll just catch up. All right, I'm going to hit OK. So now this is going to run every 3 hours, only during my working hours, only during Monday through Friday. So that's going to save a lot of operations of this checking when there's nobody, I'm not going to be really around to watch and look at the dashboard. So I'm going to save that. And we're going to run this. Obviously, as you can see, this is a much more useful view to me to keep track of the health of my WordPress websites than going and scrolling through my email. So I hope you see how this would be valuable to you or your team. If you want to see another video where I automate make.com and monday.com, check out this video. It's pretty fun, and it's all about tracking LinkedIn leads. And I appreciate you watching, and I will see you next time.